Folsom has a way of making people rethink their whole list real fast. You pull up expecting another polished Sacramento suburb, you hit Sutter Street, catch people moving on the trails out by the lake, cut through some of these newer neighborhoods, and suddenly the whole place feels a lot more alive than the internet gives it credit for. Clean, active, a little edge where it counts, laid out in a way that makes everyday life click for families, move-up buyers, or anybody craving a city that actually works. Now here's the kicker. The version of Folsom that wins online is not always the version that wins in real life, and that gap is exactly what makes this city so interesting.
We had a client out here not long ago who was fully ready to cross Folsom off. Too polished, too buttoned up, too country club without the country club. So we grabbed coffee by Sutter Street, caught that morning buzz, breakfast coming out of the cafes, rolled past Lake Natoma, and there were runners, cyclists, dog walkers, everybody already in motion. Like a random weekday out here actually means something. Then we cut through a few older pockets and over toward the newer south side, and their whole tone changed. They quit talking about price, started talking about bike rides, weeknights, and how life would actually feel here. Folsom looks polished in pictures. In real life, it has charm and character, and that flip happens a lot, which makes the next part way more interesting. Why does Folsom keep winning over people who are ready not to buy the hype?
People get Folsom wrong because the online version is way too clean. You see polished homes, strong reputation, the lake, the schools, and it all starts feeling a little too neat. Then you get out here and realize this city has a lot more pulse than that, and the bones to back it up.
We're talking about a city with 50 plus parks, close to 48 miles of trails, a population of around 85 to 90,000 people, and household incomes sitting well into six figures. That's not a made-up reputation. That's a place built around routine, stability, and people who actually use the lifestyle they're paying for.
We had a client come out from the Bay Area. Roseville was already winning in their head, and they were basically half out on Folsom. Too polished, too curated, and too much of the looks good in the listing photos energy, so we drove around like a normal day. Not a highlight reel, cut down East Bidwell, swung towards the Johnny Cash Trail, then looped into older streets of historic Folsom before finishing further south down in the newer neighborhoods out in Folsom Ranch. Halfway through, the husband laughs and goes, okay, I thought this place was gonna feel a lot more faker than it does, and that's the moment that it flipped.
And that's when price quits driving the bus. Square footage gets quiet. Buyers stop talking like shoppers and start talking like people trying to picture a real week. Where would dinner happen after a long Tuesday? Which side of town makes mornings easier? Would the kids actually be outside more? Would they really use the trails? Folsom answers that fast.
A lot of the suburbs all shine up front. Nice signs, fresh landscaping, big shiny retail, same wrapper, but Folsom lands differently because it's more tension in the mix. Historic Folsom gives it that age-old soul. East Bidwell works like a daily artery. Folsom and Lake Natoma aren't just pretty backdrops, even though we're standing in front of Lake Natoma right now. They shape how people spend a weekday, an evening, a lazy Sunday, and an after-work reset. Then the newer pockets bring in those cleaner lines, that more planned, dialed-in feel. Folsom looks polished in pictures, and then in person it has that character and charm.
And that's the part people miss online. The internet flattens Folsom into one easy story. Good schools, nice homes, outdoor access, done. Not even close. One part of town feels older and more textured, another feels sharper, newer, more future-facing. Some buyers light up in the established streets, others want the cleaner south side feel and never look back. Same city, very different rhythm depending on how you live, and that matters.
Nobody moves for the city slogan of Folsom. People move for the way their days start to run. Folsom makes a strong case there. A quick trail loop before work feels normal. A grocery and a coffee run along East Bidwell doesn't hijack your whole afternoon. And dinner around historic Folsom can actually feel like you actually went somewhere else. The city has structure, but it's not stiff. Active without feeling frantic, clean without feeling hollow. Now, sometimes the tension is part of the appeal. People expect soft suburban bubble, then they get a place with a little bit of backbone. They expect boring, they get rhythm. They expect one polished version of life. They find out that this life has a bunch of textures and a way better real life fit that they give it credit for.
So if Folsom is even remotely on your radar, please don't try to piece this city together on your own from Zillow tabs, random blog posts, and a couple lazy drive-thrus. Reach out to us as your local Sacramento real estate team and let us help you sort it out the right way from day one. Call us, text us, or email us. All of our contact info is down in the description. We'll help you narrow down which part of Folsom actually fits your budget, your routine, and the way you want to live before you waste a bunch of time in the wrong pocket. Now, nobody gets hooked on Folsom from the hero shot. It gets you in the gaps of the week. A Tuesday morning, coffee around Broadstone, a quick loop near the Johnny Cash Trail before work, kids burning energy at a park 5 or 10 minutes from the house instead of turning the afternoon into a shuttle run. That is the pull. Folsom is not built around one giant wow moment. It wins on stuff you actually repeat. That kind of lifestyle hits different. You feel it early, tires buzzing past, running shoes slapping pavement, cooler air hanging around before the heat starts climbing. Nobody looks like they're out there for content. They're out there because this is just what the week looks like. That low hum gives the place life without turning the whole morning into chaos. Now, the numbers back it up too. You've got 50 plus parks, close to 48 miles of trails, and for a lot of households, you've got strong trail access, which sits roughly 10 to 15 minutes away. Household incomes running around $115,000 up to $130,000 explain part of it too. People here are paying for a setup they actually plan to use, and a lot of them do. That's where Folsom separates itself from the fake lifestyle suburbs. In some places, outdoor access is a pretty line in a brochure. Here, it gets folded into your schedule. Now, Folsom Lake gives you the bigger reset. Lake Natoma gives you quicker hit. Trails are not a novelty, parks are not decoration, and a walk after dinner, a bike ride before work, kids outside instead of climbing the walls. Small stuff, sure, but small stuff changes your entire week. Quick question for you. What matters more in your day-to-day life? Being closer to trails and water or being closer to restaurants, errands, and everyday convenience? Drop it in the comments because that answer is gonna change a lot in Folsom. Now, midday, the lifestyle shifts from outdoors to utility. East Bidwell carries a huge chunk of the everyday movement. Then you've got the Palladio, which pulls a lot of the bigger retail and dining traffic. Sutter Street gives you something more with texture when you're over the chain store rinse cycle. So the appeal is not just fresh air and lake views, it's the fact that regular life can run cleaner here. Lunch, coffee, a couple errands, keep it moving. No whole afternoon is disappearing on you. That part is sneaky powerful. Now, night gives you a different version of the city, not club energy, not fake trendy, just easier. The heat backs off, patios fill in, historic Folsom picks up that broken in little buzz, dinner, a walk, maybe live music if the timing lines up. Now, day feels active and useful, night feels slower, easier, and more social, and that mix is hard to fake. Some places crush the outdoor side and go dead after dinner. Others give you retail and zero personality. Folsom carries both better than people expect. Enough polish to feel put together, enough character to keep a pulse, enough built-in motion that life here doesn't feel like something you're constantly trying to force. And that's why buyers start picturing themselves here so fast. Not because one landmark blows them away, not because one patio dinner changes their life. The hook is the rhythm. Morning movement, cleaner afternoons, easier nights, a week that starts running better without needing a full reinvention. The catch is that rhythm doesn't hit the same everywhere. One pocket is going to give you easier trail access. Another makes errands stupid simple. Another brings more history and texture. And that's where the conversation gets a lot more interesting, because the real question is not just whether Folsom works for you, it's which version of Folsom is going to work best for you.
Now, the prettiest part to Folsom can be the wrong part of your Tuesday. A slick listing can hide a clunky week fast. Two addresses out here can produce two very different routines. One setup runs smooth. Coffee, drop-offs, groceries, gym, dinner, done. Another looks killer online and turns every basic errand into extra lights, extra turns, low-grade irritation by 3:30 p.m., and people feel that drag fast. Not the city slogan, not the drone shots, the drag. How fast the morning starts, whether pickup feels easy or annoying, whether grocery run stays tight or turns into a side quest. The whole game out here is the loop. Keep it compact and life gets easier, let it sprawl and the shine wears off quick. A lot of buyers think that they're choosing a house. They're really choosing a pattern. Work, school, coffee run, grocery stop, trail access, dinner, weekend reset. Stack those pieces in the right pocket and the city starts helping you. Miss on this mix and it starts asking for more energy than it should, and you can hear the difference. A smooth day sounds like a clean turn off East Bidwell, a quick coffee stop, school drop off without a circus, groceries in the trunk before the cold stuff starts sweating. A clunky day sounds like brake lights near Iron Point, stop and go feeding into Highway 50, and that annoying feeling of crossing town for stuff that should have been simple. Big gap. Folsom still runs like a car city, no point in sugarcoating it. Walkability across a lot of this town lands somewhere in the mid 30s to mid 40s. So convenience here gets measured in drive time, not sidewalk fantasy. A place can look a lot close on a map and still feel like work when the route fights you. Distance lies, friction tells the truth. There are a few corridors that carry a lot of truth. East Bidwell handles a huge chunk of the everyday hitting. Iron Point becomes a big deal when commute matters. Broadstone can make normal life feel efficient. Folsom Boulevard helps stitch together older pockets and more established parts of town. You don't need every stop to be next door, but you do need the route to make sense. That split can make or break the fit. Downtown Sacramento may look like 25 to 35 minutes on paper, then blow out to be 40 to 60 minutes because it takes another 10 or 20 just to get to Highway 50. And when 50 gets jammed up, your timing is ugly. Not a disaster, just real life. Now, hybrid and remote workers can shrug that off a lot easier than in-office buyers that need to care a whole lot more about which side of town they start from and how fast they can touch the freeway and whether that route is going to wear on them by month 3. Now, errands follow that same logic just with less drama. One pocket lets you knock out coffee, lunch, school pickup, groceries, and a workout without torching your afternoon. Another one wins the beauty contest and keeps dragging you farther than you want for the basics. At that point, the house is not the issue, the week is. The sweet spot usually lives somewhere in between your 15 to 20 minute bubble. Home, coffee, school, grocery, run, trail, dinner. Get those pieces lined up and the city starts pulling real weight for you. Miss on this setup and you'll feel every extra mile. Now there's money behind that too. Homes near the stronger convenience clusters can command roughly 5 to 15% more, which tells you that buyers aren't just paying for curb appeal, they're paying for time, ease, and fewer friction points baked into the week. Smart premium when it fits into your life, dumb premium when it doesn't. Buyers trip over this in predictable ways. One family chases the prettier route towards the water and forgets what they have to do on Wednesday. Another one locks on a new construction without checking whether or not the day-to-day support around it has caught up yet. Somebody else falls for the bigger retail pool, then they realize that the outdoor rhythm that sold them on Folsom barely shows up in their week anymore. None of those mistakes kill the deal, they prove the point. Folsom is not hard, it's precise. Once you see that, the different versions of Folsom start separating themselves pretty fast.
Saying you want Folsom without naming the pocket is like saying you want a truck, a sports car, an SUV all at once. Drive it right and the split shows up fast. Closer to historic Folsom around Lake Natoma and along older stretches off East Bidwell or Riley Street, the city picks up. Age, shade, a little swagger, bigger trees, tighter streets, more variation in the homes, less copy and paste. More of that broken-in feel buyers are usually chasing when they say they want character. Now, pricing here can swing a lot, usually from the 600,000s into the 900,000s and all the way up into over $1 million, depending on condition, lot, and how close you are to lifestyle pieces people actually use. Now, for the buyer who wants soul, this is the lane. Slide towards Broadstone, where I'm at right now, or Empire Ranch, and the tone changes. You've got cleaner curb appeal, more consistency, better errand flow. This is the middle lane a lot of move-up families understand immediately because it just works. Parks, shopping, dinner activities, normal life, all of it tends to line up in a cleaner pattern. Now, pricing usually reflects that balance too, with a lot of this middle lane living in the high 800,000s into the low 1 millions, especially where convenience and school-driven demand overlap. Now, go south of 50 into Folsom Ranch and the visual shift hits immediately. You've got wider roads, newer parks, cleaner sidewalks, more open sky. Houses with that fresh dialed-in look. A lot of relocation buyers love that right away. Now, this side of town reads simple from the windshield, which is part of why it sells. Pricing usually runs from the 700,000s all the way up past 1.2 million, depending on builder, size, and lot. The trade is built in though. Some convenience is here now, some is still catching up. Retail in newer master plan areas can trail rooftops anywhere from 3 to 5 years, sometimes even longer. Then you have buyers who want more room, more privacy, more presence. This is where American River Canyon starts to talk loud to that crowd. Bigger lots, more elevation, more custom home feel, more of a tucked away mood. Less keep me close to everything and more make the house and setting feel like something. That lane usually starts above $1 million and can push well into the $2 million range when the lot, views, and house all line up. So no, Folsom is not one clean vibe. It breaks into distinct lanes, older and rooted, balanced and convenient, fresh and future facing, bigger, quieter, and more custom. People say Folsom like it means one thing. It doesn't. And once you see those lanes clearly, the pricing stops feeling random, which is where this gets really interesting because buyers don't stretch for the same reason in every part of town.
Now, Folsom can definitely look overpriced at breakfast and completely logical by dinner, and that flip happens a lot. A buyer sees the list price out here in Folsom and they completely wince and they get a little bit of sticker shock. and that's completely fair. But then the kicker is they spend some real time out here, they run a normal day, they feel how much smoother the school run is, how much easier the errands are, and how much better the street feels, and suddenly then the number is tied to something real. Not hype, not optics, a week that runs better. And that's usually what the stretch is buying. It's not just another bedroom, it's not just another prettier kitchen. In Folsom, a lot of the premium follows smoother routines, stronger school-driven demand, cleaner planning, outdoor access people actually use, and locations that keep people from feeling chopped up in a week. Two houses can look pretty similar on paper and still hit very differently because the life around them is not the same, and that's where the premium starts making more sense. By this point, the price in Folsom's already told the story. Folsom is segmented. What matters now is why buyers justify the jump. Some are paying for less friction, some are paying for newer product, some are paying for neighborhood identity, and some are paying for privacy and space. A house that feels like it carries a little bit more weight, the numbers start making a little bit more sense the second you understand what the problem the buyer is trying to solve. You can see it in the convenience premium too. Homes near the stronger daily clusters can easily command an extra 5 to 15% more, and it definitely tells you that buyers aren't only paying for curb appeal, but they're also paying for save time, cleaner school runs, easier errands, fewer friction points that are all built into your week. Add in the reality that inventory under 700K keeps getting thinner and thinner by the day, and the premium starts reading less like sticker shock and more like competition in the pockets that solve the better life. The monthly side matters too. A purchase price can look fine on paper, then you factor in taxes, insurance, HOA, special assessments in the newer construction areas, and all that starts stacking up fast. So paying more in Folsom only works when it fixes something important. Better fit, better routine, better resale, better location. Paying for the wrong pocket is just expensive confusion. Paying for the right one can make the whole week feel cleaner in 6 months. Now drop this in the comments. When you picture paying more in Folsom, what are you really paying for? The newer house, the better daily location, the schools, stability, or heck, even the overall lifestyle? Sellers should care about that answer too, because Folsom homeowners are rarely selling just 4 walls and a roof. They're selling the package around it, the route to school, the trail a few minutes away, the feel of the street at 6 p.m. The difference between grabbing what you need in one clean run or burning half of the afternoon bouncing all around East Bidwell is a big chunk of your premium out here. Everybody says that they want value, which is completely normal. Folsom forces a sharper definition of what value really means. Sometimes value means the lower payment. Sometimes it means a tighter week. Sometimes it means stronger resale. Sometimes it's a neighborhood that still feels good. After the new home smells wear off, one stretch buys peace of mind, another buys a bigger mortgage, a longer drive to everything that you care about, which also explains why some of Folsom's trade-offs sounds bigger before you actually live in them.
Some of Folsom's biggest holdup points lose a lot of their punch the second a normal week starts rolling. Commute is the easiest one to point at. Downtown Sacramento can look like a clean 25 to 30 minute shot, then stretch to 40 to 60 minutes when 50 clogs up and your timing is ugly, which is a fair concern. But for a lot of people moving here, work is hybrid, remote, or flexible enough that the freeway is not running the whole show. Now, build the rest of life into a tighter pocket, start from the right side near Iron Point, and that commute stops feeling like the headline. Heat also gets overplayed too. Yes, the summer is hot, no cute spin on that, but people who actually enjoy Folsom are not trying to force the city to work at 3 p.m. in July the same way it works on a crisp fall morning. They go earlier, they go later, trails start moving before the day bakes. Evening park time matters more, the weather changes, the timing. It does not kill the lifestyle. The car thing gets overcooked too. Walkability across town sits in the mid-30s to mid-40s, so anybody chasing an all-on-foot setup is shopping the wrong city. But a lot of buyers coming here are not looking for apartment over a coffee shop life anyway. They want space, cleaner streets, stronger parks, and a driveway that doesn't feel like a boxing match. In that world, a clean 10 to 15 minute drive can feel pretty easy, especially when your week runs through practical lanes like Broadstone or the stronger everyday corridors off of Folsom Boulevard. Now, the newer South Side, which is where I'm at right now, gets judged hard, and some of that criticism is earned. Folsom Ranch is still growing into itself. Retail can trail rooftops by roughly 3 to 5 years, sometimes even longer. So parts of the daily support system are still catching up. Still, the parks are already there. The homes are easy to read. The floor plans make sense. For a relocation buyer who wants newer product and less guesswork, that trade can be worth it. Now, school talk sounds bigger on paper too. Strong schools out here usually come with a stronger parent culture, more involvement, more activity, more eyes on how the kids are doing. For one family, that can feel like pressure. For another, that's the whole point. Not really a downside, more of a fit check. Even the polished look gets misread. People hear clean, organized, well-kept, and assume sterile. Then they spend time on the older stretches off of Folsom Boulevard, run errands through Broadstone, and realize this city has more range than the label suggests. So yes, the trade-offs are real, they just don't hit everybody the same way, and that starts making the last piece really clear. Because Folsom doesn't need to win everybody, it just needs to fit the right people extremely well.
Folsom hits hardest with people who are tired of feeling like their week is running away from them. That's the real filter that people run Folsom through. The people who lock in here usually aren't chasing noise. They're not hunting for a different plan every night or a city that keeps throwing curveballs at them for fun. They want mornings to run cleaner. They want their school pickup to feel less chaotic. They want weekends with a little bit of breathing room. They want a neighborhood that feels steady instead of all over the place. Folsom is built for that kind of lifestyle. Families feel it first, not only because schools matter, but because the whole setup keeps helping. Kids have places to burn energy, parents have more than one way to save a Saturday, the right pockets feel settled, not flimsy. For a household that wants structure without feeling boxed in, Folsom makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. Move-up buyers usually lock in for a different reason. They're not only chasing more square footage, they want the next chapter to feel better, significantly better. Older streets with more shade, more texture, middle lanes where the day runs smoother, newer areas that feel easier to read, bigger lot pockets with a lot more presence. The draw is not only the house, it's the shaded older streets, the cleaner loops off of Broadstone, the version of Folsom that actually fits their move. It's the feeling that regular life just got a little bit sharper. Hybrid and remote workers can really cash in here too. The less your week depends on fighting a freeway every morning, the more Folsom starts flexing. Home, errands, school, dinner, and a quick outdoor reset, all of that can compress into a tighter loop. People think they're paying for a polished suburb and end up realizing that they bought back their time, energy, with fewer dumb headaches. Stronger budget households usually understand the value faster too. This city rewards people who can buy into the version that actually fits them instead of forcing them into the cheapest version to carry a lifestyle it was never built to carry. That's when the planning, the neighborhood feel, and the day-to-day ease all start lining up the way it should. And one more thing, by now, you've probably already known whether or not Folsom feels like the kind of place for you or whether it just looks good from a distance, and that matters. If you want dense urban energy, heavier walkability, lower carrying costs, or more novelty-driven setup, Folsom can feel a little too polished for that or a little too car dependent for a lot of people. Tight budget, first-time homebuyers can also feel that pressure too. Somebody who wants every block to feel different, every night to come with a new trick, probably isn't chasing what Folsom does best. No problem, that doesn't weaken the city, it sharpens the fit. And that's exactly why Folsom keeps outperforming expectations for a lot of people who are considering it. It's not trying to charm everybody in the room. It works really well for people who want cleaner routines, stronger neighborhood identity, and a life that feels more put together without feeling fake. Now, quick one for the comments down below. Are you more drawn to the older Folsom with texture or the newer side of Folsom Ranch with the cleaner planning? Let us know down in the comments below. We read every single one of them and respond to them personally. Folsom's not expensive because people are buying a name. It's expensive because the right pocket can make your whole week run a lot better. That's the one piece worth holding on to. You've got older areas with real texture, middle lanes that make everyday life easier, the newer south side neighborhoods that feel clean and easy to understand, and a lifestyle built around trails, parks, and lake access, and routines that actually hold up after the fresh move feeling settles down.
We've had people come out here thinking they were just checking one more suburb off the list, and by the end of the day, everything changed once they saw it in person. They stopped asking whether Folsom looked good and started asking which part actually fit their life. That's why waiting too long or guessing your way through this city is usually how buyers end up off track. Not because Folsom is confusing, but because the wrong pocket can eat your time, muddy your budget, and pull you toward a version of the city that was never the right fit to begin with.
So if you're thinking about moving to Folsom or heck, anywhere in the Sacramento metro, reach out to us as your local Sacramento real estate team. Call us, text us, email us. That phone number is going to be popping up. All of our contact information is going to be down in the description and pinned in the chat, but we would love to help you build the right plan around your lifestyle, budget, timing, heck, whatever makes sense. Then go watch this next video about the comparison between Roseville and Folsom, because that comparison will sharpen this whole conversation fast and help you figure out which suburban setup is going to fit your life better.
Thanks for hanging out with us on this one, and we'll see you in the next video.